Solving two-step equations. The meter stick was a stubborn ruler because he wouldn't give an inch. Today's lesson is on solving two-step equations. We're going to be solving two-step equations and use two-step equations to solve problems. Our Indiana Academic Standards are 7.3.1 and 7.3.2. Standard 7.3.1 says, use variables and appropriate operations to write an expression, a formula, an equation, or an inequality that represents a verbal description. 7.3.2 says, write and solve two-step linear equations and inequalities in one variable and check the answers. When solving two-step equations, you must solve the equations in a certain order. The first thing you're going to do is deal with any addition or subtraction. So if there's any addition or subtraction, you need to undo that in the equation. Then you're going to deal with any multiplication or division. If you follow these simple steps, your problem should not be difficult to solve. Pause the video if you need more time to copy down this part of the notes. Don't forget, you need to have a question at the end to ask in class tomorrow. Let's try example 1 together. Undoing an operation. We have the equation 5v minus 12 equals 8. Well, just as our rules stated, we're going to take care of any addition or subtraction that are in the problem. If we look at this problem, 12 is being subtracted from 5v. So to undo that, we're going to add 12 to both sides of the equation. So you end up with 5v equals 20. Now we're going to solve for v. So we need to divide both sides by 5. So v equals 4. Now you can plug that back into the equation and see if that works. 5 times 4 is 20. 20 minus 12 is 8. So that answers the question. V does equal 4. Pause the video if you need more time to copy down this part of the notes. Don't forget, you need to have a question at the end to ask in class tomorrow. Pause the video if you need more time to copy down this part of the notes. Don't forget, you need to have a question at the end to ask in class tomorrow. For problem 1a, we have 15x plus 3 equals 48. The first step we have to do is deal with any addition and subtraction. In this case, we are adding 3 to the variable. So to undo that, we're going to subtract 3. So then we end up with 15x equals 45. Now we have to divide by 15. Divide both sides by 15. We're left with x on the left, and 45 divided by 15 is 3. So x equals 3. For example B, we have t over 4 minus 10 equals negative 6. The first thing that we have to deal with is we're going to have to add 10 to both sides of the equation. Because we are subtracting 10 from t, we have to add 10 to both sides of the equation. On the left-hand side, the minus 10 plus 10 cancel each other out, so you're left with t over 4. On the right-hand side, negative 6 plus 10 is 4. So now we have the equation t over 4 equals 4. Now to continue with our process of getting the variable by itself, we're going to have to multiply both sides by 4. The 4's on the left-hand side cancel each other out, so you're left with t. On the right-hand side, 4 times 4 is 16. So t equals 16. You can substitute that back into the problem and you'll get the same, it will solve itself. 16 over 4 equals 4. 4 minus 10 equals negative 6. So the solution of t equals 16 works out. Pause the video if you need more time to copy down this part of the notes. Let's try 7 minus 3b equals 1. What we're going to do is write the problem off to the right so that it's easier for us to solve.
When you're looking at this problem, because we're subtracting the b, you're almost going to want to go ahead and do state change opposite for the negative 3b. So we're going to rewrite the problem as 7 plus negative 3b equals 1. I think that will help you keep things straight. You don't want to lose the negative sign. We'll have to deal with that later, but you don't want to lose it. Now we're ready to start solving the problem. You can see that 7 is being added to the negative 3b now. So to undo that, we're going to subtract 7 from both sides of the equation. On the left-hand side, the 7's cancel each other out. So you're left with negative 3b. We don't have to write it in parentheses anymore since that's all that's left. On the right-hand side, 1 minus negative 7 is negative 6. Now we're going to undo the negative 3 times b. To undo that, we're going to divide both sides by negative 3. On the left-hand side, the negative 3's cancel each other out, so you're left with b. On the right-hand side, negative 6 divided by negative 3 is 2. You can check your answer by putting the 2 back into the problem. 7 minus 3 times 2. Does that equal 1? Well, 3 times 2 is 6. So 7 minus 6 does equal 1. So we know that 2 is the solution to our equation.
Pause the video if you need more time to copy down this part of the notes. Don't forget, you need to have a question at the end to ask in class tomorrow.
Now we're going to use a two-step equation to help us solve a story problem. You borrow $350 to buy a bicycle. You agree to pay $100 the first week and then $25 each week until the balance is paid off. To find how many weeks it will take you to pay the bicycle off, solve the equation 100 plus 25W equals 350. Write the equation off to the side. It will make it easier to solve, and we can solve it our way and not have to use the textbook's way. We're going to begin by subtracting 100 from both sides of the equation. Because 100 is being added to the variable, we're going to subtract 100 from both sides of the equation. On the left-hand side, the 100s cancel each other out, so you're left with 25W. On the right-hand side, 350 minus 100 is 250. So now our equation to solve is 25W equals 250. Since our equation has 25 being multiplied by W, to get W by itself, we're going to divide both sides by 25. On the left-hand side, the 25s cancel each other out. You're left with W. On the right-hand side, 250 divided by 25 is 10. If you put that back in the equation, 25 times 10 is 250, plus 100 is 350. So the solution to the equation does check out. So it will take you 10 weeks to pay for the bicycle.
Pause the video if you need more time to copy down this part of the notes. Don't forget, you need to have a question at the end to ask in class tomorrow.
Let's try 2a. We have negative a plus 6 equals 8. To start to solve this problem, we're going to have to deal with that plus 6. So to undo that, we're going to subtract 6 from both sides of the equation. On the left-hand side, the 6's cancel each other out, so you're left with negative a. Don't lose that negative sign. On the right-hand side, 8 minus 6 is 2. At this point, there's a lot of people that think they're done with the problem, but you're not. Because we have that negative sign in front of the a, that's actually telling us negative 1a equals 2. So to be able to get rid of that negative sign, we're going to have to divide both sides of the equation by negative 1. On the left-hand side, the negative and negative 1 cancel each other out, so you're just left with a. On the right-hand side, 2 divided by negative 1 is negative 2. Now let's try example 2b. Negative 9 minus y over 7 equals negative 12. Start by writing the problem down. Then underneath it, we need to change that minus y over 7 into adding negative y over 7. That way we don't lose that sign. Now we can begin to solve this problem. We have negative 9 being added to the negative y. We can undo that by adding 9 or subtracting a negative 9. I think it's easier to think of adding 9 because we have a minus 9. We can have a plus 9 underneath it. So add 9 to both sides of the equation. On the left-hand side, you're left with negative y over 7 equals negative 3. We still have the negative in front of the y to deal with and the 7 underneath. We can actually do this in one step. If you would multiply the left-hand side by negative 7, the two negative signs would cancel each other out, and the 7 and above the 7 being multiplied by y and the 7 being divided by y would cancel each other out. So we're going to multiply both sides by negative 7. So on the left-hand side, you're left with y, and on the right-hand side, you're left with 21. If you would put this back into the equation, you would have negative 9 minus 21 over 7 equals negative 12. Well, 21 divided by 7 is 3. Negative 9 minus 3 does equal negative 12. So the solution of y equaling 21 does check out.
Pause the video if you need more time to copy down this part of the notes. Don't forget, you need to have a question at the end to ask in class tomorrow.
And now for our final example. Jacob bought 4 begonias in 6-inch pots and a $19 fern at a fundraiser. He spent a total of $63. Solve the equation 4p plus 19 equals 63 to find the price p of each begonia. We begin by writing down the equation 4p plus 19 equals 63. Remember, we always begin with dealing with any addition or subtraction. We're adding 19 to p, so we're going to subtract 19 from both sides of the equation. So we end up with 4p equals 44. Now we're ready to divide both sides by 4 so that we can get the p by itself. 4p over 4, the 4's cancel each other out, you're left with p. On the right-hand side, 44 divided by 4 is 11. The cost of each begonia, then, is $11.
Pause the video if you need more time to copy down this part of the notes. Don't forget, you need to have a question at the end to ask in class tomorrow.